Jorge Sedano's on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. You can hear him every morning on ESPN Los Angeles, and you see him all over ESPN, especially during NBA season. And we were talking about the unveiling of the Pat Riley statue yesterday in Los Angeles. That was a cool moment, right, George? Like, I was asking Crowder and Solana, like, is Pat Riley still beloved in Los Angeles, or have the years and his association with another team diminished some of the love that Los Angelians have had for him?
They're Angelinos, not
Los
Los Angelians. No loss, just Angelinos. And by the way, Pat Riley, this is not a background. This is really I was on a hiking trail. Pat Riley lives that way somewhere when he is here in Los Angeles.
Go to his house. Let's see if we can get to his house by the time this segment's over.
Yeah, don't believe that'll be the case. That definitely not walking nor swimming, and certainly not in LA traffic. But the short answer to your question is absolutely. I think that Pat Riley will always be beloved. Now, I think younger people have to be educated to Pat Riley. And I think because Magic Johnson specifically and Kareem are still around, particularly Magic is around in a big way here in LA. I mean, he's a big part of the Dodgers ownership group, right? He's still very front and center with the Lakers, even though he doesn't really have a technical role with them. So I think he embodies that spirit of the Showtime Lakers, so they always get their just due. And I think it was just a matter of time before they celebrated Pat, possibly overdue, in my opinion. But I'm glad that the Buss family decided to do that last night or yesterday afternoon at the Star Plaza there at Crypto.com Arena in downtown Miami. It's the 8th Lakers statue that's there. And then there are several others, including Oscar De La Hoya, who is a native son of L.A., Olympic champion, multiple-time world champion. Wayne Gretzky is out there as his time with the Kings. There's, Chick Hearn, who's the Lakers' famous broadcaster for many, many, many years. But, yeah, for Pat to be out there, it makes all the sense in the world because he started what became the crown jewel of the NBA in the Lakers.
And what you criticize, I don't want to say criticize, but people talk about coaches, but it's like Pat coached a bunch of great players, even as a general manager. He had Wade and Shaq, and he just brought in the big three and all that stuff. Like, hour back to Greg Popovich with the players he had, Steve Kerr now with Steph Curry. Like, isn't it the players that make the coach, or the coach make the players? If Pat was coaching nobodies, would he have a statue right now?
Maybe, maybe not. But what I would say to you is this, Crowder. Yeah, you definitely need, players. I don't think there's any question. I don't think Pat would deny that. I mean, he was pretty honest about saying that yesterday as well as he received that honor. But there's a lot of Del Harrises who didn't win championships with Shaq and Kobe. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, you look at Phil Jackson. Right. David Blatt is a great example. Right. Tyronn Lue comes in. And by the way, we've seen Tyronn Lue be a pretty darn good head coach after the fact, too. So I do think that stuff does matter. And let's not forget the Lakers. I mean, they were the Celtics. The Celtics were the Lakers' daddy, basically, up until Pat Riley came here. And even in Pat's first couple of attempts against the Celtics, they were the Lakers' daddy. And, I know Pat won as a player as well with the Lakers. He was a role player. He was basically their Bruce Bowen when Jerry West and Elgin Baylor won in '72, where they had the 33-game consecutive win streak, which is still the top win streak in the history of basketball. The only team that even came remotely close was those LeBron, Wade, and Bosh Heat teams, and with their 27-game win streak. But, yeah, Crowder, look, of course you need players. But you know what? Again, not everybody gets over the hump. If it was just the players, then there'd be a lot of coaches having statues everywhere.
Sedano, 30, 40, 50 years from now, how will Pat Riley be remembered? In other words, what part of his greatness will he be remembered for? I kind of compare it to Jerry West, who has somewhat of a similar tenure in the NBA after playing, where he was an executive of the year multiple times, won titles as an executive. But we remember Jerry West as a player. How will Pat Riley be remembered? Is it as an executive of the Miami Heat? Is it as a coach? Is it with his Showtime Lakers? Like the main thing people remember Pat Riley for?
I think that'll just depend on the generation you grew up in, Alex. I just think that's the reality of it. You really can't tell the story of American basketball without Pat Riley, though. If you think about it, he played against Kareem, who was Lou Alcindor in high school, excuse me, in the New York area. Okay, he was part of the most important game in college basketball history, where his Kentucky team, and he was the best player on that team, was an All-American, lost to Texas Western, which became UTEP, which was the first team to start 5 black players in a game, in a national championship game. And, Pat was helpful in telling that movie, right? Jerry Bruckheimer did that movie, and Pat was a huge influence in telling that story. Glory Road was the name of the movie. And then obviously, was part of that team I just mentioned, the 33 straight wins with the Lakers, and became an iconic head coach, really started the Lakers dynasty with the Showtime Lakers. And then, yeah, he became a coach executive type with the Heat. I know I skipped by the Knicks, but he had obviously a good stint with the Knicks. They just didn't win a championship. But, I mean, hell, the Knicks were a disaster before Pat got there. And, they were one bad John Starks game away from winning a championship there. And by the way, that could have changed Miami's history, too, if John Starks just had a mediocre game in that game against the Rockets. But then, of course, his tenure with the Heat, both as a coach and as an executive. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer as a college player, he's a Hall of Famer as a coach, and he's a Hall of Famer as an executive. So I hope people there in Miami, and I know the Heat are kind of stuck in the middle right now, and it's easy to blame Pat, but, he really is a treasure to the sport, and I think people should understand that in their emotions right now. I understand that it can be tough because fan is short for fanatic, but man, he really has meant so much to this game, and certainly so much to that community you guys are in. Basketball doesn't exist without Pat Riley. I'll never forget. It was my 18th birthday when he was on that cruise ship on the Carnival Cruise Line when he was introduced by Mickey Arison. And I'll never forget that day because it changed Miami basketball forever. And drafting Dwayne Wade obviously changed it forever too. So look, I don't think that I think if anything, he gets too much grief now because he's not making unilateral decisions for that organization anymore. And I hope that, the Heat continue to show the love that they've shown to him throughout his 30 years or so that he's been there. I know that they named the court after him. And the next statue should definitely be him there at Kaseya Center.
So, Donald, to that point about him succeeding at every level, succeeding as a player, a coach, an executive, all that, what makes him special? No cliches. What really makes Pat different at every level of basketball that he played?
He's adaptable, Crowder. That's just the reality. If you really look at it, everywhere he's been, he's just adapted, right? And when you think about it, okay, so he plays for Adolph Rupp at Kentucky, who is one of the most, stringent, difficult, challenging coaches to play for, like a real ball buster, basically, right? Like he plays for that guy. But that's between that and his dad, who was obviously, if you've read some of his books, was very difficult on Pat growing up. That combination kind of turned him who he is. It's funny because, like I mentioned, when he was a player in the NBA, he went from being the star college player to being a Bruce Bowen role player, right? He wasn't Jerry West. He was the guy that they said, hey, you got to guard Jerry in practice because you play the best defense, and that will allow him to understand what it's like to play against the best defenders, right? And he had to get cooked every day by Jerry West in practice, who's the logo, right? And then, as he evolves as a coach, I mean, he becomes this Armani icon, right? He becomes as big a brand in coaching. JJ Redick mentioned this yesterday. I know Spose talked about this. Without Pat, coaching doesn't become as cool as it became because he was such a hard ass, but he had this amazing, movie star look to him. Michael Douglas said yesterday at the unveiling of the statue that the Gordon Gekko character.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Looks like we lost Sedano in the valley.
Oh,
See if
he's,
we can get
he's
him
always
reconnected.
hiking.
Phil Jackson probably cut that connection.
He does.
No,
like
you there?
the-
I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back.
no,
I'm back.
we thought
Sorry,
we
Dad.
lost you. That we were scared for you. You never know what goes on in these hiking expeditions.
He was messing with. He was with goats last time we talked.
Yeah, we were with goats last time. Yes, but no, somebody called me and I forgot to put do not disturb. That's my fault. But anyway,
Anybody good?
Nah, just a buddy of mine who's probably listening to this and leaving me a message like a dope. And it's like, and not realizing I'm doing this on my phone, but he probably thinks I'm on the actual phone, not on video. But anyway, Gus, I'll call you back, okay? He's my buddy in Miami. But anyway, so long story short, right, he's the Armani guys, this and that, but he's still Schenectady, New York at the heart, man. So he goes to the Knicks, adaptability. Different kind of roster. He doesn't have Showtime Lakers. He can't run up and down the floor. He doesn't have Magic Johnson and all these guys, James Worthy, Kareem. He's got Patrick Ewing and a bunch of role players. And he gets them within, again, as I mentioned, one bad John Starks game from winning the championship. Okay? So, and then he comes to Miami and literally builds basketball in Miami, eventually drafts Dwayne Wade in 2003 after the Zoe Timmy years, and really changes the face of Miami basketball, made the Miami Heat the most important franchise in the city. So he should be beloved forever for a number of reasons, but adaptability, Crowder, is the one trait I always point to.
He has no feuds anymore. We saw Dwayne Wade was there last night, and they only speak glowingly of each other. LeBron and he only speak glowingly of each other. He's mended all fences, right?
Yeah, I think so. That relationship with LeBron is not icy. The relationship with Dwayne is in a great place right now. I don't think there's any doubt. And look, I think that, that started back in 2018 when Dwayne came back. And I think over time, Pat, God, I don't want to say this because it comes across disrespectful, but he's kind of softened a little bit in a good way, right? He's softened. How about this? I don't want to say he's softened. He's rounded the edges a little bit. That's probably a better way to describe it.
Actually, when you're saying that, like, he probably has not mended fences with Danny Ainge.
No, Danny Ainge is still the bleepity bleepity bleep or whatever he called them in that press release in 2012. Yes, that's probably the one person. But he's rounded the edges, and I think he's also understood his mortality a little bit. Hawk, I heard him yesterday do an interview with one of the local icons here, Jim Hill, in L.A., and he talked about that. He's like, look, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be around. You know what I mean? And look, I get it. He's 80. Like it's understandable to even think that way while enjoying the life you have. I think that I think he's just looked back a little bit at his life and said, hey, I've had a good one. I think he still feels like he wants to win. That doesn't change his desire for wanting to win, and they're still winning in misery. But I think he's starting to, which is smart. I think we should all do some of this and take account for the good things in life, right? And it's hard to do it when you're in this business. And Crowder, you played professional sports, so you get this. Like, it's hard to do this when you're in the midst of it, right? When you're like in the middle of battle, right? But now he's removed from it a little bit, right? He's no longer the guy day to day making decisions per se. They do this as a collective there. So he's allowed to kind of take a little bit of a victory lap. And it's freaking awesome because if anyone deserves it, it's that guy.
Yeah, we listened to the entire 4 minutes of the speech that he gave at the arena last night. And I said, after listening to him, I said, first of all, to be 80 years old and still command a crowd the way that he can is remarkable. And secondly, when he was done speaking, I just said, I love that guy. Yeah. Like, he does deserve all this, all the flowers. And there has been criticisms of him in Miami. You know it from, the past few seasons when they seem to be asleep at the wheel. But he does deserve all this. And Sedano's right. Like, he built basketball in Miami. This doesn't exist without Riley, and it's so great that they're doing all this, and he's 100% there. He's still Pat Riley, which I like watching him with that mic at the arena last night. Man, that dude commands a crowd the way he did 40 years ago.
Yeah, it is incredible. I know, Crowder, you wanted to say something, but just to add to that, Hawk, like he walks in that building, he is freaking royalty, okay? You say he built basketball in Miami, there's no question. But he started the real dynasty with the Los Angeles Lakers, when you think about it, right? With that first championship. Yeah, they had one, but when he was an assistant, but he was also part of that, right? But they really took off when he was the head coach, winning those 4 titles and, going to the final. Was it in, I think it was 8 of 10 years or whatever it was? Like, think about that. 8 times in 10 years. They went to the finals. And that's why when he said the thing about LeBron yesterday, he believes that, and he's always believed that. I'll never forget. He told Levitard that years ago after LeBron left that he thought they had something special. And LeBron, interestingly enough, even kind of said, "Yeah, the car." He said, I think the phrase he used to Dave McMiniman of ESPN was, I didn't go to Miami thinking I'd only play there 4 years. That's just kind of how the cards played out. But yeah, of course you think back and you think to yourself, like, yeah, what could have been? You do think about it, sure. But I think that the decision I made is the decision I made. It worked out. Yeah, of course you think about what it could have been.
And to that point with Pat adjusting, because he even gave James Worthy some goofball excuse for wearing a tie, Sedano.
Yeah.
All he does, this goofball stuff about dressing up, man, it's silly. Solana and Hawk were giving me hell earlier in the show. Why the hell does a coach need to wear a suit?
He's just old school that way. Listen, I'll tell you this. Eric will probably never admit it, but I've heard in hushed tones and quiet whispers, he's told people, don't tell my boss, but I like not wearing suits. Okay, so that I'm with you, Crowder. If I never have to wear a tie ever again, okay, I will never wear a tie ever again. But I got to wear them sometimes when I go to work. So I get it. He's just made from a different time. Plus, if I had to deal with Armani for my lifetime, maybe I would wear suits and ties every day and all day, every day.
And I said to Crowder, like, Riley knows it's an old school thought because he could mandate that Spo has to wear a tie and suit if he wanted to. He's the president of the team, but he chooses not to. But I do like that he holds on to that as something that he knows has passed him by, but I'm not following along with the rest of y'all and wearing wearing a collared shirt with no jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not his thing. Like he is old school, man. And it's funny, like to your point, he is still Pat Riley. Like he commanded the room. He's dressed to the nines. Like he's still him. I actually saw him briefly, him and Mickey, at the All-Star game when Keshad won the slam dunk competition, because I had to I was there working for ESPN Radio as the sideline reporter because we have the rights to the game, and I had to do a little walk and talk with Keshad as he was headed to the NBC set, and I got a quick second just to say hi to Mickey and Pat. But yeah, it was great to see him, man. Like listen, I owe that man so much. Like I feel like my career would never be where it is if it wasn't for him coming to Miami, him drafting Dwayne Wade, all that Dwayne Wade's success and then all the success thereafter. I never get to ESPN if those teams aren't formed, and that's all Pat Riley and Dwayne Wade. So like if I look at two people in sports I owe my life to, it's Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley in no particular order.
Yeah, I always say Riley.
And probably Pat first because he drafted Dwayne.
Riley down here, and then Shaq and Wade and LeBron, the butterfly effect of how many people's careers it helped and shaped and fostered is remarkable. Yep. George Sedano, go enjoy your hike there in L.A. Too nice to be talking to us on the phone.
Is it cold in Miami? Is it cold? Are people wearing leather jackets? Are lizards still freezing?
No.
Cold for me, man.
No.
I was going to go to spring training in West Palm tonight. 51. No, 51, thank you.
51. No, man, that's beautiful, 51. That's like, see, today it's like 70 degrees, and then at night here it'll be like 51. You wear a little zip up. It's nice, you know?
Boca Raton right now, 60, feels like 54. No, thank you. I'm putting the heat on, Jack.
You're a weather softy, man. What happened to you? You used to be from Chicago.
I know. Listen, that ain't the only thing soft about me.
What? All right, gentlemen. I'll leave you at that.
See you, Sedano.
See ya.
George Sedano from ESPN. I was talking about the way I like my ice cream. Crowder, what are you thinking?
You know what you were talking about.